At Aero 647 on June 6, 1944, on a blood-red stretch of Normandy Beach designated Omaha, Major General Clarence Hubner watched 8,000 men of the 1st Infantry Division disappear into chaos. They were trapped, pinned down by German machine gun fire, unable to advance, unable to retreat. The surf behind them churned with burning landing craft. The bluffs ahead erupted with artillery. And every minute they stayed on that beach, more men died. The entire invasion hung on one question. Could they get armor onto that beach before the Germans counterattacked? The answer depended on a design most naval engineers had called impossible. A flat-bottomed boat with a front ramp that could drive straight onto hostile shores. No dock, no harbor, no loading cranes, just open water, open ramps, and 36 men running straight into German guns. That boat was the LCVP, landing craft, vehicle, personnel, and its designer, Andrew Jackson Higgins, had been told by the U.S. Navy it would never work. Higgins was 45 years old when he walked into the Navy Bureau of Ships in 1938. A boat builder from New Orleans, self-taught, no engineering degree. He built shallow draft boats for oil prospectors in Louisiana swamps. Fast, maneuverable craft that could navigate 18 inches of water. The Navy needed something similar for beach landings, but they wanted it built their way. Higgins had a different idea. Every military landing craft in 1938 used the same design. A squared-off bow with a retractable ramp at the rear. Troops climbed down cargo nets into the boats, rowed to shore, then had to turn around and exit over the stern. It took time. It exposed soldiers to enemy fire for longer. And it meant troops hit the beach disoriented, backs to the enemy. Higgins proposed the opposite. A ramp at the front. Drive straight onto the beach. Troops exit forward. Immediate orientation toward objective. Half the time exposed. Twice the survival rate. The Navy rejected it. Too unstable, they said. The boat would flip. The ramp would jam. The design violated every principle of naval architecture. Higgins built one anyway. He welded a steel ramp to the bow of his swamp boat, reinforced the hull, added side armor, tested it in Lake Pontchartrain. The boat worked. Ramp dropped in 4 seconds. Troops disembarked in 12 seconds. The boat remained stable even in rough water. The Navy still said no. It took the U.S. Marine Corps to change their minds. In 1941, Marines tested Higgins's design at New River, North Carolina. They ran beach assault drills, timed landings, measured casualties. The results were irrefutable. Higgins' forward ramp design cut exposure time by 58% compared to stern exit craft. In combat conditions, that meant 58% fewer casualties. The Navy placed its first order in February 1942. 1,000 boats. Delivery deadline, 4 months. Higgins Industries occupied 7 warehouses across New Orleans. He employed 2,400 workers. He needed 20,000. Within 6 weeks, Higgins hired, trained, and deployed 7,600 new employees. Half were women. A quarter were black workers in an era of strict segregation. Higgins didn't care about race or gender. He cared about output. His factories operated 24 hours a day, 3 shifts. 0 days off. Workers assembled boats in outdoor yards, rain or shine, summer heat or winter cold. Each LCVP required 15,000 parts, 18 tons of steel, 68 cubic feet of mahogany plywood. Construction time per boat, 60 hours from first weld to engine test. By December 1943, Higgins Industries was producing 700 landing craft per month. More than the rest of the American shipbuilding industry combined. The LCVP measured 36 feet long, 10 feet 10 inches wide, weighed 18,000 pounds fully loaded. Its diesel engine produced 225 horsepower. Top speed, 12 knots. Operational range, 110 miles. Armor plating protected the sides and ramp. 2 30 caliber machine guns mounted behind the cockpit. Crew of 3. coxswain, engineer, gunner. But the genius was in the ramp itself. Higgins designed a steel plate that weighed 600 pounds. It attached to the bow via two heavy-duty hinges. A cable and pulley system operated by a single lever controlled its movement. The coxswain could drop the ramp in under 5 seconds without leaving the wheel. When raised, the ramp formed the boat's bow. When lowered, it created a bridge from boat to beach. The design was so simple it almost never failed. Almost. At 06:30 on D-Day, the first wave hit Omaha Beach. 1,150 men in 40 LCVPs. German defensive positions opened fire immediately, machine guns, artillery, mortars. The water exploded with impacts. Boats swerved. Ramps dropped too early, too late, in the wrong place. One LCVP took a direct hit from an 88mm shell before reaching shore. The ramp jammed halfway down. 36 men trapped inside. The boat filled with water, sank in 90 seconds. No survivors. Another boat's coxswain was killed by machine gun fire 50 yards from shore. The engineer took the wheel, drove straight toward the beach, dropped the ramp. 34 men made it out. 2 were hit crossing the ramp. A third boat's ramp mechanism was destroyed by shrapnel. The cable snapped. The ramp remained locked. The soldiers inside used rifle butts to pound the hinges loose. It took 4 minutes. By the time they got the ramp down, German gunners had zeroed in on their position. 13 men were hit in the first 10 seconds. This was the reality Higgins's design had to face. Not calm Louisiana waters, not training exercises, actual combat, heavy seas, 6-foot waves, enemy fire, panicked soldiers, equipment failures, and despite all of it, the LCVP performed. Of the 1,450 LCVPs that landed on D-Day beaches, 1,287 successfully deployed their troops. That's a 95.7% success rate under the worst possible conditions. No other military landing craft in history has matched that performance. By 07:30, the critical moment arrived. The infantry was ashore but pinned down. They needed armor, tanks, artillery, heavy weapons, and those had to come in on larger craft, LCMs, landing craft, mechanized, also designed by Higgins, also featuring his revolutionary bow ramp. The LCM could carry a 30-ton Sherman tank, or 60 troops, or a 105mm howitzer. It measured 50 feet long, drew only 4 feet of water. Its ramp could support 60,000 pounds. The first LCMs hit Omaha Beach at 07:40. German gunners concentrated fire on these larger targets. They knew American armor was the key to breaking the beachhead. Stop the tanks. Stop the invasion. 8 LCMs were destroyed before reaching shore. Their ramps blown off. Hulls ruptured. Tanks sinking into 20 feet of water. But the others made it through. At 07:47, the first Sherman tank rolled off an LCM directly onto Omaha Beach. Its treads found purchase on the sand. Engine roaring. 75mm gun traversing toward German positions. 30 seconds later, another tank landed. Then another. By 08:20, 37 Sherman tanks were fighting on Omaha Beach. The German defensive line began to crack. Infantry that had been pinned for 90 minutes suddenly had covering fire. Tank shells punched through concrete bunkers. Machine gun nests evaporated under high explosive rounds. Gaps appeared in the German positions. American soldiers started moving inland. By 0900, 8,000 troops were off Omaha Beach and advancing toward the bluffs. The beachhead was secure, not because of superior numbers, not because of air support, because Higgins had designed a ramp that could drop in 5 seconds and let soldiers run straight forward into battle. Eisenhower later said, "Andrew Higgins is the man who won the war for us. If Higgins had not designed and built those LCVPs, we never could have landed over an open beach. The whole strategy of the war would have been different." Higgins Industries produced 23,398 landing craft during World War II. More than 90% of all Allied amphibious landings used his designs. Sicily, Salerno, Anzio, Southern France, Pacific Island campaigns, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, every major invasion. The LCVP carried 1.6 million troops into combat. Its survival rate averaged 94% across all theaters. Those numbers represent actual lives saved. Real soldiers who made it off landing craft and onto hostile beaches because one engineer refused to accept that a front ramp couldn't work. After the war, Higgins returned to building boats in New Orleans. He died in 1952. The Navy named a ship after him, the USS Higgins, a destroyer, still in service today. His landing craft revolutionized amphibious warfare. Before Higgins, beach assaults required capturing an enemy port or building an artificial harbor. After Higgins, armies could land anywhere there was sand and water. That capability changed military strategy for the next 80 years. But on June 6, 1944, at 0647, on Omaha Beach, the only thing that mattered was that ramp. Steel, 600 pounds, hydraulic cable, 5 seconds, and 36 men running forward into history.